Most herbs and spices you easily and immediately know by name. Cinnamon, bay leaf, black pepper, etc. Then there's this one, allspice. Allspice? Does that mean it's like all the spices or multiple ones blended together? For such a small thing, allspice can be a confusing ingredient. That all changes now. Today I'm going to explain what allspice is and how to cook with it. Along our allspice journey, we'll also highlight 3 amazing recipes to make with it. Cincinnati chili, Mujadara, and pumpkin spice baked oatmeal. Let's get cooking. Hello and welcome to I Want to Cook. My name is Chef Matt and this channel is all about helping you be a better cook. And today we are diving into the world of allspice. And I want to thank you, the viewers, because you actually asked for this episode. You might recall that allspice was one of the trivia ingredients a few weeks ago, and several of you said, hey, I want a whole episode on it. So here we go. So let's begin with the very basics. You're probably thinking, what is allspice anyway? Despite what its name might suggest, allspice is actually just one spice. It's not all of them or several of them mixed together. So why is it called that? Because allspice actually tastes like several spices combined. So inside one of these little berries, you'll find notes of cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. Yeah, it tastes like all of those things and perhaps even more. Now, by the look of these hard, black little orbs, you might easily confuse allspice with black pepper. And like black pepper, it can be used either whole or ground. And yes, like black pepper, allspice is technically a berry, in this case from an evergreen tree native to the Caribbean and Central America. It's especially beloved in Jamaica, and you might even see bottles specifying that it's from there. Now, allspice is popular around the world and it's used in various cuisines globally. It's also really easy to find in your supermarket. Just head to the spice section and you'll find it there. But here's a pro tip. If you only see it in ground form in the spice aisle and you want it in whole form, stroll on over to the section, sometimes it's labeled ethnic section or Latin American section, and you'll often find whole allspice berries in bags like this. They're also really cheap. Something like this usually costs less than $2, and even a nice bottle of ground allspice, well, it's just a few dollars and a little goes a long way. Now that you know what allspice is, you're probably wondering, how do you cook with it? And allspice is what I call a culinary chameleon because it's so adaptable. Here's the really cool thing about this spice, unlike a lot of others. It can be used in both sweet and savory dishes. So you'll find allspice in everything from something super spicy like Jamaican jerk chicken to a sweet treat like pecan pie. Now, for most recipes, you're probably going to be using allspice ground, and if you're buying it for the first time, that's the kind that I suggest that you get. But there are applications where you will use the whole allspice berry, something like if you're creating a brine. And like black pepper, you can of course crush it and grind it yourself. Although if you really want a fine powder, and most of the time you do, I just suggest buying a bottle of that. Now, as I said earlier, a bottle like this is going to go a long way, and most of the recipes that it's used in, including the ones that we are going to make, it doesn't take much. We're talking about a teaspoon or less of allspice, and oftentimes it's paired with other spices like cinnamon and nutmeg and cloves to create, well, an explosion of flavors. So speaking of an explosion of flavors, the first application in which we are going to cook with allspice is Cincinnati chili. Now, I have to admit, before this week, I had never made Cincinnati chili. I'd had it a couple times on a coney or hot dog when I was in the Detroit area, and it's delicious. But Cincinnati chili is unlike any other chili you've probably had, and it's certainly not like a chili con carne, like the one we made in an Instant Pot not so long ago. Think of Cincinnati chili as more of something like a meat sauce, such as a bolognese. And that analogy is especially relevant because Cincinnati chili is often served over spaghetti. I know if you've never had it, it may sound weird, but it's absolutely amazing. Now, some Cincinnati chili recipes actually call for chocolate to be in them, including the one that I'm working off of this one in The Joy of Cooking. But from the research I read, including Skyline's chili, they actually never used chocolate, so I'm not going to put it in this recipe. Although I want to know from you, do you want chocolate in your Cincinnati chili? Let me know in the comments below. My Cincinnati chili uses 2 pounds of ground beef, garlic, onions, tomato sauce, and a seasoning blend that includes allspice. Find the entire recipe in the description below. Bring 4 quarts of water to a boil, then add the meat. Now we're going to mash it up as good as we can. Here I'm using a potato masher and a slotted spoon. Just make it nice and crumbly. When the meat is mashed well and incorporated into the water, it's time to add all the other ingredients. Just add them one by one and stir them in well. See that allspice? It's gonna work some flavor magic. Bring everything to a boil, then lower the heat to a simmer. I like to cover my pot with a splatter screen. Cook the Cincinnati chili for about 2 hours on a low simmer, stirring occasionally so nothing sticks to the bottom. After about 2 hours, everything is going to be so cohesive and it is going to smell absolutely wonderful. Some recipes call for refrigeration so you can skim the fat the next day, but I found using lean meat you don't really have to do this. Now all that's left is to get some hot dogs going or boil some spaghetti like I'm doing here. Put the pasta in a big dish, ladle the Cincinnati chili over for a 2-way, and go from there. 3-way with cheese, 4-way with onions, 5-way with beans. How do you like your Cincinnati chili? Let me know in the comments below. The next recipe in which allspice is going to be a featured player is Mujadara. And Mujadara is a very simple rice and lentil recipe. It's totally meatless, but here again, because of spices such as allspice, coriander, and cumin, there's a flavor explosion. Top it all off with beautiful caramelized onions, and you have something that is, well, it's like a party in your mouth. To make Mujadara, I first like to caramelize the onions. And yes, I do this outside because while I love onions, I don't necessarily love the smell of them lingering in my house. If you've never cooked caramelized onions before, it's really easy. It just requires some time and low heat. Just keep stirring onions in some sort of fat. I like to use a combination of butter and oil. Keep doing this until they take on a deep brown color. It'll take about 20 minutes, but trust me, it's worth it. Meanwhile, in a 4-quart or larger saucepan, we are going to saute even more onions. After a couple minutes, when the onions turn translucent, it's time to hit them with some flavor bombs. We are going to throw in some garlic and then a bunch of spices, including allspice. Again, the recipe will be in the description below. Doesn't this smell amazing? Now the lentils are going to join the party. Put those in the pot along with the water. We are going to par cook the lentils so they get a head start for the rice. After simmering the lentils for about 12 minutes, we are going to add the rice. Lower the heat, cover, and cook for about 20 minutes or until all the liquid is absorbed. To serve Mujadara, put it in a bowl or on a plate, pile some of those caramelized onions on top, and then sprinkle with a garnish like fresh parsley or cilantro if you'd like to. Serve with yogurt if you want added creaminess. And for our last recipe using allspice, we are going to go down the sweet path, making a beautiful pumpkin spice baked oatmeal. And here again, it's the allspice that puts the spice in pumpkin spice. I love eating this one for breakfast or just as a sweet treat in the middle of the day. This one, just make this. This one is truly as easy as gathering all your ingredients and then mixing them together well into a bowl. You could also add any variations you like. For example, you could use raisins instead of blueberries, add shredded coconut, add various nuts. This really is a canvas. When everything is mixed together, carefully pour it into an 8-inch baking dish. Here I'm using some of my beloved vintage Corningware. As a final flourish, I like to add additional oats on top, along with some pepitas. Those are raw, unroasted pumpkin seeds. Throw the dish into a preheated 375-degree oven and cook for about 30 minutes or until everything is set. Your house is going to smell amazing. To serve, I like to cut my baked oatmeals into squares and eat them nice and warm. Refrigerate any leftovers, and yeah, mine usually barely last a day. So there you go, Allspice 101. I hope this helps clear up perhaps the mystery surrounding this simple yet exotic spice. But now I want to hear from you. Do you have a favorite recipe that uses allspice? Maybe one that's been in the family forever? I'd love for you to share your allspice backed recipes in the comments section below. Okay, before we get to trivia time, a little show and tell, and folks, this is the reason I thrift, is for finds like this. You saw this featured already in this video. This beautiful 12-inch All-Clad skillet. I got this for $6 this past week at the thrift store. Oh my gosh. This is from the LTD line that they made, well, probably several years ago. And as you can see, it's got this kind of like this anodized aluminum exterior, but this beautiful tri-ply stainless steel interior. This pan probably cost around $200 new. Again, I got it for under 10. Fantastic pan. Folks, if you're not out there at the thrift stores looking for amazing cookware, well, then I'm probably going to get it before you do. But no, head to your thrift stores if you need some quality cookware. You might just find something like this. I'm so glad that I can give this one a second life. Okay, trivia time. Last week I asked you to identify this very interesting looking culinary tool, and several of you knew exactly what this is. This is called an egg topper, and as you can see, it's got this blade here, and this is used for cutting the tops off of soft boiled eggs. From there, you can enjoy the egg right out of the shell, or maybe make it easier to peel. Congratulations to everybody who correctly identified this as an egg topper, and well, not that other thing that some of you might have identified it as. This is a family show, so we're going to keep it G-rated. For this week's culinary trivia, we have another tool here. This is a part of something. There's a hint for you. If you know what this is and possibly what it's used for, put your guess or your answer in the comments below, and I will, of course, let you know the correct answer in the next episode. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Until next time, I hope you want to cook.